This is a Glass Box Media podcast.
Star Wars, which I'll talk a little bit about at the end of the episode today, but we went to go see the new Star Wars movie. Legit 30 minutes of trailers before the movie. I timed it 30 minutes.
Wow.
It was like a shit ton of trailers.
I actually like that. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I dug it. But I saw the new Mulan trailer for the first time on the big screen, and I almost cried again because there is something about seeing. Not only, I wasn't gonna cry just because it's nostalgic for me, because of course it is. It's, you know, Disney's, they know how to play on your nostalgia. They're selling your childhood back to you.
It's so true.
But it was because I'm seeing a culture that is so underrepresented.
Yeah.
Like in this, like the most beautiful way, you know, on screen. And it made me feel like, oh my God, how amazing that like people can actually, you know, people are going to be able to watch that and see themselves in it. And like, that's so beautiful. And, you know, with everything that's going on in our country and the world right now, and I tend to get really like, woe is me, like, oh my God, everything's falling apart. Everything's burning.
Chicken Little.
You know,
the sky is falling.
Yeah. That is something that I'm loving for the next generation. Like I'm loving that they get to grow up in a world where people are standing up for them and saying that like your stories matter. You should be able to tell your own stories. That's incredible. And I'm stoked about that. Cause you know, we were even talking about how a couple of years ago when the Harriet movie first got pitched,
Oh God!
Right.
That one of the people in the meeting proposed that
Julia
Roberts play Harriet Tubman,
like,
which is insane because they're like, oh, they don't know the story very well. Anyway, it's
you
fun.
don't know this?
You don't know this?
I don't know this. That is the wildest thing.
So the guy who wrote Harriet, when he was pitching the idea like 15 years ago or something like that initially about Harriet Tubman and wanting to do a biopic, one of the execs in the room was like, you know what? Like no one's going to go see a movie about like a black woman.
Can we make her a white savior?
Can we get Julia Roberts to play Harriet Tubman? That's the kind of world we were living in 15 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know,
wait, what? Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, and of course we're like, what the fuck? Like that seems so insane, but that is how far people will take it. And as far as like, even when it's your story, turning around and making that story about someone else, you know, and I'm happy that we're moving further and further away from that, you know, and that people can grow up with something different.
That's gonna swirl around in my brain a little bit. What is wrong with that person?
That's weird, right? Like
that is so.
And
bizarre.
you know that other people in the room were probably like, we'll marinate on it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, here's the thing. I think that is weird. I mean, that's obviously somebody who didn't grow up in Ohio, because you and I, Christina, and I feel like we've talked about this before, but in Ohio, that's such a pertinent part of Ohio history is Harriet Tubman. So you know that story.
Yeah.
And you know it like inside and out. The Underground Railroad, you know how many people she saved, and it is part of Ohio history.
I mean,
so I think
Harriet Tubman Harriet Tubman was one of 5 black people that they bring up in Black History Month every year. Like how who was he trying to sell that to? Like, because I'm just
too
like
old to have had Black History Month, I think, as part of my like actual curriculum. So I do think that probably people who are over the age of like 38 plus probably don't have that same amount of history if you're not from the states that are affected by it or the one to promote that story. And so maybe you don't know truly who Harriet Tubman is, and you are like, can we make
like
this story character?
Would still not think it's Julia Roberts.
It's so ridiculous.
Even if you didn't know,
it's wild.
Still, like, I feel like you would know it's not Julia fucking Roberts.
It's not.
She's a fucking treasure.
No,
absolutely.
It's Sandy Bullock for sure.
But for fuck's sake, dude. I'm blown away by this news. I really you guys literally blew my mind. I had not heard that. That's fucking nuts.
It's banana slugs.
That is nuts. Wow. Wow. I just keep picturing scenes in the movie. It's making me think of The Blind Side or something.
I don't even know how they would have done it. I'm seriously I don't even know how they would have done it. What they would have had to completely restructure the entire story.
Well, it's not her story anymore.
Yeah.
Now you're just making something up.
Now you're just making shit up.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Oh man.
Oh my God.
You know this guy too is no, but you do know that this is a true story.
They're yeah. But Julia Roberts.
But Julia Roberts.
Would they have done what they did to fucking Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder?
Or
browned her up?
Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, just really tan.
In A Mighty Heart. Yeah, where they're you're biracial now. And everyone's
There's actual biracial actors.
I know this is going to blow your mind.
Wow. It really is. Wow. There's pictures of Harriet Tubman.
You're not going to literally the most opposite thing of Julia Roberts.
It really is. It's so
two people could not look less alike.
Really? You're not going to be able to Charlize Theron her into Harriet Tubman. No. Oh my Lord. Fucking this town is wild sometimes. I swear to God. This
feel
whole business and everything.
I feel like it's just people with money are wild. Because it's the same thing I was thinking about Theranos too, where I'm just who is just throwing money at this woman? People who have lots of money, I can't even imagine that kind of where we talked about the Cats movie. I'm just who is just several million dollars just to throw into this thing? I don't understand. I cannot comprehend having that kind of wealth.
I got ideas too. If you're rich and you want to finance some ideas, come at me.
Ideas.
Yeah, I got ideas on ideas, stacks on stacks. Come on, exactly. Bring it on,
dude. I will say that Karen Kilgariff's Elizabeth Holmes voice gives me life.
It's perfect.
It is fucking funny. One drop of blood. It makes my life. And then she's talking.
Spine got chills.
She's talking about her having a podcast, and I'm oh my God, can you even imagine if she had her podcast?
I would tune in. I would absolutely
voice?
Tune in.
Oh my God, I'd have to listen.
All these rich guys just gave me money.
You're oh my God, I hate it.
Stop it. Stop it. Oh my gosh. Well, I guess we should say that this is my worst date.
It is.
I'm Christina.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Cassie.
Hi. So, okay. So to go along with this being a New Year's episode, you guys definitely saw a lot of the 10-year challenge side-by-side photos.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have such a pet peeve because more than one person on my Facebook feed posted their side-by-sides 10 years ago and now. Mm-hmm. And they would say things not much has changed or whatever, except for that their new photo is clearly
filtered.
Yeah, or big they have a Snapchat filter over the top. Especially
not much has changed. I just got dog ears.
Yeah, you're oh yeah. There are those people that I went to high school with where if you go through their profile pictures, every single picture has that soft light filter on it.
No.
Or and I'm no one
your eyes are not that bright,
this.
Bitch.
Yeah. It's not a 10-year challenge. I can't see how you've changed if your current photo is just completely.
Also, to go back to the whole body image thing, please change. Don't look the same as you did 10 years ago.
Shouldn't.
Yes, you shouldn't. Your body is going to change. Your face is going to change.
How many? Look at the fucking glow up on my girl crush, Gillian Anderson. Look at her 10-year challenge because Gillian Anderson from X-Files to The Fall.
Oh yes.
Holy! I see what you're saying. Yes.
Damn,
I was did she do a
girl?
Yeah.
No, she looks amazing.
Amazing.
She looks better.
She looks better.
Yeah, she looks better with age. Honestly, the things that age did, where her face changed but it changed in like the best way.
I know. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people are like that.
Yeah. Don't be afraid of
for sure
of aging. Yeah. Oh, I look better than 10 years ago for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'm only going to get better.
Yeah.
Like a fine wine.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Like a good Cabernet. I don't know anything about wine.
I do like a good Cabernet. Yeah. Stick with that. That one was good. Good job.
Yeah. Do those age well?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
I know wine. I know this is a red. This is a white.
Oh, is that how you do it?
Yeah.
Like no one can see you, but you're swirling wines around.
This is a fine red wine.
This one tastes red.
So somebody posted on our Facebook about how Channing Tatum is on Raya now.
Oh,
that like
Christina,
dating app.
Listen, you found Eric too soon, is what I'm saying, and I'm here for it.
Know if I would be a good match for Channing
I don't
Tatum.
know that I think he's that good looking. Hot take.
Okay. Well, I'll take him.
Yeah. I mean, I just
think
feel
he's hot. He's funny.
He is.
I think he's funny.
I think he's funny. I think he would be fun to be friends with. But I feel like, and I don't know him as a person, so apologies, Channing Tatum, if I'm way off base, but I just don't think that you and I would be compatible.
Right on.
At me if I'm wrong.
I feel like
prove me wrong.
I feel like
Channing,
I could have been friends with him, but I feel like if we were in high school together, he would have been on the baseball team.
Of course.
He would have been like a jock. I don't think we would have. He would, yeah. He'd be telling a lot of like fart jokes with his buddies, and I
would be friends for sure.
I don't think I could date him. Although great dancer, could win me over.
Yes.
Oh, and I have to talk to you guys about this because I'm not digging it.
Okay.
His ex-wife, Jenna Dewan,
yeah,
she is hosting a new dating show called Flirty Dancing.
I hate it already.
And it's like two people meet and then they have to dance together. Okay. Like that's the premise is like the first time you meet.
See, this is what we're talking about. People like I have ideas. I have ideas.
Yeah,
Give
and
me
someone
money.
gave them so much money to make this show.
We got a show here, guys.
It seems awful. I just cannot see why or how. It's like they were like, you know what? Dating shows are successful. And
Dancing with the Stars has been on for like 50 fucking years.
And now there's a million different dance shows.
Yeah.
And so they're like, how about we just put those hands together and create Flirty Dancing, which isn't even a good title, by the way.
Isn't that what birds do to mate? Is that what the fucking premise is?
Is this kind of like their take on Dirty Dancing? Is that what
I don't know, but I hate it. I hate it.
No, I'm not.
Jenna, you're better than this.
I'm not gonna watch it. I'll be honest. Well, maybe I will. Maybe
I mean, I kind of out of curiosity want to watch it. I kind of have the same. I have the same curiosity to watch Flirty Dancing as I have to watch The Masked Singer. There's like this weird. I've never done it. I've never watched it, but there's this weird curiosity in the back of my head that's like maybe one episode. I kind of want to know what's up.
Slowed down when we see, is that like drama? Is that it's the whole thing.
Yeah,
I'm like
Paradise Island or whatever.
Someone's yelling
Temptation
fuck
Island.
outside. I've got to like look.
Yeah.
I got to see
Come
what
quick.
this drama is. Yeah.
Listen, nobody loves a good reality show more than me.
Yeah.
We know.
Truly.
I will not be watching this fucking dumpster fire. It sounds horrible.
And I have questions.
Horrible.
I have
hate
questions.
it.
Are they trained dancers who are coming together and like
Or is it,
impromptu
like,
choreographing
fucking
a
me?
piece? Or is it like me doing the sprinkler? Like
And
what
you
is
coming
it?
up in the shopping cart next to me?
Yeah,
Dude.
honestly,
Huh?
I like that better.
I
I
do
like
too.
the idea better of it being like
Not
I'm
trained
gonna
dancers.
I'm gonna reel you in, right?
Yeah,
like
with a little fishing line.
with the fishing line. I'm gonna do the like cleaning the ears move, the rolling the dice move.
Lots of dice.
So many
much dice.
Cleaning the ears reminded me of a thing that was trending on Twitter the other day, and it was like
the
everybody was
fake
disappointed.
earpods?
Everybody's disappointed in their shitty fake ass earpods, and the one person who put like 2 Q-tips bent over. Like,
I did. I saw that. I laughed so hard. Oh my God. Yeah, someone's like, my mom got me soldier pods.
it was like joy pods. Yes. I was like, fuck that. Sky pods.
Oh my God. Did you guys see did you guys send this to me where someone was like, Bella Hadid is going retro and bringing back wired headphones. And I'm like,
this bitch right
she's
here.
appropriating broke culture. I'm like, bitch, I've been had wired headphones. Like, that's all I have. What's wrong with you? Like, it's not retro. It's from 3 years ago.
I know. It's from like literally last year.
Oh my God.
Bitch, calm down.
Oh my God.
Rich people are wild. They're wild.
Yeah, that's why.
That's our next podcast.
Rich people are wild.
Honestly, we could have a whole podcast just talking about the weird shit rich people do. It's like so insane.
Really how stupid is that? Isn't that in people when they're like celebrities? They're just like us. I'm like, no, they're fucking aren't. They really aren't.
They really are not.
Paris Hilton has a mansion for her chihuahuas that's air conditioned. I didn't have air conditioning in my apartment until I was like 25. Fuck you.
I didn't run the air conditioning in my car until I was at least 30 because I was like, that's gas. That's going to eat up all my gas.
They have their own terminal at the airport that they go to.
They have. You're not standing in line waiting for your lift outside LAX like a goddamn chump, bitch. Get out of here.
But see, that's pretty much anybody with money can have that. That's
it's rich people shit.
Rich people.
Yeah. That's what
like
I'm saying.
Celebrities.
It's rich people shit.
It's
like
us.
No.
No.
The uber wealthy are not like us. Mm-mm. They aren't, guys. Mm-hmm. And you probably won't become a billionaire, so stop clinging to that hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop voting for that hope.
I know you're voting for that hope. You're like, that could be me one day, and I don't want my billions taken. And it's like, it won't be.
It won't
be.
You settle down, Randall.
Yeah,
no one's coming for it,
sir.
No, I don't know. It's just the name that came to mind when somebody is like, Randall.
Randy. He goes by Randy. You know he does. Yeah.
No, he definitely goes by Randall because he thinks he's fancier than that.
No, but you know what? It's
Esquire.
Not the people who act fancy. It's like the people who like they think they're gonna win the Mega Millions, right? And like they think that they're gonna be that person.
That's my retirement plan.
That's not a lot of people's retirement plan.
Not a good retirement plan.
No.
Are you saying I should?
I'm saying like dump that idea. Stat. All those dollars that you put into that card,
damn it,
you need to put into a retirement fund.
Oh, geez.
My suggestion would be an IRA. No.
What about scratchers? Should I switch to scratchers?
Scratchers!
I mean, I do have to say that we have a friend who we ran into when we went to Vegas for Christmas because she goes to Vegas every year for Christmas. And she just won this year. She won $10,000.
Fuck.
Mm-hmm. Wait, but she's been going to Vegas for like 7 years for Christmas. So what I said was, I'm like, she just paid herself back for like the all the years she's probably all the years she's been going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, for all her trips right there.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but I was like, man, I can't imagine getting $10,000 at once.
Okay,
I would lose my shit.
Is this the year we go back to Vegas for Christmas?
I'd like to.
2020, I would love to.
Yeah, I would like to.
Let's do it. Oh my gosh.
Fuck, I'm about to drive there now and celebrate New Year. How cool would it be to just drive into Vegas for like a day or two to celebrate New Year?
My grandparents do a New Year's party every year because you can see the fireworks from the strip from their house.
Oh, cool.
They have a really good view of
Grandpa.
We're
on our way.
What's up?
What's up with that?
Well,
fuck, marry, kill.
Who are we going to fuck, marry, kill? I feel like this is... Oh, you know what? We had people commenting in our group about ideas.
I love people coming at us.
Me too.
FMKs.
And there were a few that they were talking about. They were talking about doing decades, which I think could be funny. Fuck, marry, kill decades.
Is it like the decades that we were born then?
So 70s, 80s, 90s? We could do that.
Were you born in...
I was born in 82.
Oh. 90s.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
We could do 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah, which I think is funny. I always like it when we do ones that aren't people.
I actually really like this.
Okay.
Let's see the
Somebody also mentioned the cookies.
Someone mentioned cookies and someone mentioned 2019 trends. We could fuck, marry, kill.
Oh. I think let's start with decades because we're going into a brand new decade.
All right. I like it.
And
70s, 80s, 90s.
Okay. 80s had, I mean, the hair.
Lots of men in makeup.
80s. So many men.
Well, let's start in order. Let's start 70s.
Okay. All right.
Okay, go for it.
I barely made it into the 80s or 70s, so I don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
But I think you're talking hair. You're talking disco.
I actually dig 70s hair. I dig it.
Farrah Fawcett's hair? Come on.
I am straight up living my hair right now. My hashtag hair goals is late 70s, early 80s, like Joan Jett.
Amen.
Kind of like feathered a little bit shag.
See, I like a away from the face feather. You know, like I like that good.
Yeah.
front bang, curtain bang situation. Yeah. I love that.
Which I'm living for right now.
I mean, somebody mentioned, I think it was a friend of mine, Frankie, who like loves like old movies. One of his favorite movies is Overboard. So 70s makes me think like Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
It was like hashtag relationship
I think
goals
that movie was technically the 80s, but her hair was very like 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Goldie is,
But okay, so we've talked about pros. Cons, men's hair. Men's hair.
Oh,
so much hair. Chest, mustache. Oh, I don't like it.
Afros.
Yeah.
And then mullets. Well, that kind
the
of
afro doesn't bother me, but the mullet, not a fan of the mullet.
Oh, man. Long hippie hair. Early
70s disco music too.
Disco and color scheme of like their 70s houses, burnt orange and puke green.
So much shag carpet.
So much shag carpeting.
Murder vans galore.
So many murders.
So many murders.
Murders in the 70s and the 80s.
Yep.
Murder City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll get into crime through the decades. Because, But okay. All right. So 70s. Okay. 80s. Well, music wise, we've got like that whole like new wave. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I'm
punk.
Love.
That was kind of 70s too.
Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. Both
70s into 80s.
Bleed. I will say 80s was I always think of Big Brothers in 80s movies with those fucking tiny shorts and the cut off t-shirts
and the headbands.
Yeah, it's not a good
And there's
look.
also the American Psycho element to the 80s where it's like
Reagan
money was
Reaganomics.
Yeah, the economy was good, and so capitalism was in. Everyone wanted to have lots of money,
crack
and do just lots of cocaine, so much cocaine.
Everybody walking around with a brick phone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Lots of neon too.
The 80s were a problematic time.
Yeah, Dare.
I feel like the 80s were.
I mean, like I literally already know what I'm going to do.
I know. I kind of feel like I do too. Okay.
Okay, so the 90s.
You got your version of the 90s, and I got my version of the 90s.
There's sure, yeah. I mean, because my whole childhood was the 90s. I'm an early 90s baby, so that's my childhood was the 90s.
New Kids on the Block.
See, I wasn't a New Kids on the Block person. I was
I feel like that's
80s.
No, it's 92.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
New Kids?
Yeah. 92. I remember
like I had a baby then. I feel like when New Kids came out.
Yeah, because for me the 90s are less New Kids, more Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. It was like pop. There was that big boom. 90s pop boom.
And that's what I'm saying, the differences between your 90s versus my 90s. I grew up kind of through the 90s as well.
Well, I mean, there's grunge, of course, happened in the 90s. Grunge was huge in the 90s. You've got Eddie Vedder, you've got, fucking Nirvana. You've got my mom was a big Cranberries person. So much Cranberries in our house. So you've got a lot in the 90s. You've got the internet is born in the 90s.
Al Gore, thank you.
Yeah. So I don't know. What are you guys gonna do?
I am going to fuck the 70s because I want that joy of sex.
It's shagadelic.
It's super shagadelic.
So hairy though. So much carpeting.
We're gonna smoke a J. We're gonna listen to Jimi Hendrix. Fuck on the shag carpet.
Fair.
There you are.
We're gonna go to Studio 54 afterwards.
Oh hell yeah! So much glitter.
So much glitter. I'm
gonna wear those bell bottoms.
I am going to.
I love bell bottoms. Not gonna lie.
Marry the 90s. It is
girl.
Exactly. I mean, the number of changes that happened in that decade alone, it like was fast paced and fun and exciting and all over the place.
The 90s, you're getting a little bit of everything, right? You get a little bit of a taste of everything. It's not as insanely like tech centered as the 2000s became. You're not, but you're getting a little bit of that.
Exactly.
So like that's good. You can live with a tiny bit of that.
Yeah, it's super fun. The music, great, all that stuff, and you can fucking kill the 80s. I'm sorry.
Amen. Yeah.
Amen.
I think we're going to do the same thing.
70s for sure I'm fucking because I mean, like you said it all. I mean, it's shagadelic.
You don't marry the 70s.
No. I mean, you're not going to marry. It's not going to take you seriously enough to marry you anyway.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what? It's going to be like Dazed and Confused. My only goal is to lay down on a bed and zip my pants up with a plier.
Yes.
Pair of pliers. And that's what I'm looking for about in the 70s. I'm looking for that shagadelic fuck in the back of an El Camino.
Yeah.
With the Doobie Brothers on kind of shit.
Roll back water. There you go. Exactly.
Yeah. So, and then for sure, I'm marrying the 90s because the 90s to me was the antithesis of the 70s and 80s.
We still had hope though. So yeah, there was I don't know, there was, for me anyway, there was like and it probably is because I was a child. Like there was this kind of like, it didn't feel as complicated. Like the 90s didn't feel as complicated as like things then became, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is true though. Like if you, I mean, it's all about where you were in that time and like how you viewed it, because I don't look at the 90s as being like NSYNC or Backstreet Boys at all. Like to me, that's just so not at all what it was for me. But I want to marry the 90s just because I do think it was the best of everything I hated about the 70s and 80s in my mind is what the 90s was about.
Things were starting to change.
That.
Yeah. That was a kind of like, I feel like it was a hopeful decade, at least for me.
I think so too.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I think it was hopeful. I think people were looking forward to the future, and it felt the economy was still pretty good.
Yeah.
You know,
there were opportunities for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do the same. And the 80s, no shade. My mom, you know, she graduated high school in the 80s. Like the 80s were her shit.
Yeah.
She loved the 80s.
My mom graduated in 80.
Yeah, so I, you know, I had a fondness for the 80s. The 80s had a resurgence whenever I was in middle school, where everyone was wearing those plastic bracelets and neon and all that stuff came back in a big way. And so I have a soft spot for the 80s, but the 80s were a goddamn mess. I don't know how any of us made it out of the 80s. Like, honestly, what happened to that decade? What a weird time.
I just re-listened to an MFM episode where they were talking about like, we used to have like paper routes. Like you would go as a child early in the morning by yourself.
Yeah, got up, made your coffee, took your wheelbarrow out
and deliver papers.
Or your wagon.
Can you fucking imagine that now? Like a fucking 9-year-olds like out on their own at like 5 o'clock in the morning delivering papers? Like that shit doesn't happen.
But you know what? I was a kid in the 90s and my mom let us roam free.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like I walked blocks on my own. I went like all over.
The rules were come back by dark.
Yeah,
and when the lights come on, you come in.
You be home when the street lights come on. Yeah. And again, I feel like in the 2000s that dies. Like we just lost our innocence at some point.
Yeah,
like
there's been way too many.
The 80s, there were too many kidnappings. Yeah, that's what happened. The 80s there were so many kidnappings, and so. You know, thankfully I made it through the 80s alive, but I mean,
the 80s were the latchkey kid decade for sure. Yeah.
100%.
Oh, you can't do that now. Yeah. I mean, like we literally like
raised ourselves,
lived on our own. Yeah. Like after school.
It was straight like Boxcar Children days. You're like,
totally. Yeah. And
fucking crazy,
you used to read the Boxcar Children and be like, I can do this.
Yeah, I was like, this doesn't seem so hard.
Yeah.
And like, she sewed a tablecloth out of a bed sheet. I could do that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, you guys want to take 5 and go to the story?
Before we do that,
sure.
We have some shout outs.
We do. We have some new patrons. Christy Avila, thank you so much for joining our Patreon family.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome, welcome. We also have Darren Rower. Thank you so much. We are so excited.
Hi, Darren.
And then our good friend who has been a listener supporter from the very beginning, Liz Fritch. She has been our patron for quite a while, and she just recently edited her pledge. So that's really exciting for us. We're so happy that you are enjoying the podcast, all 3 of you. It means the world to us. You know, not to be too sappy on an opening that is already pretty sappy, but we started this a while ago, a couple of years ago now almost. And this year we really took it to the next level. We had our first live show. We, decided to form an LLC. We really put our heart and soul into this.
What a year.
And it means the world to us that you all seem to like it and appreciate it and, tune in every week. It's so special to us. So thank you guys for becoming our patrons. Thank you. Thank you.
Yay. All right. Let's take 5 and then we'll be back with stories.
Cool. And we're back. Okay. I'm going to kick us off with stories this week. And this one is a bit of a mystery.
Ooh,
okay. So this one's a mystery.
Get my friggin' Hardy Boys.
Get out your
Nancy
magnifying
Drew.
glass. Okay.
Oh my God. Sorry. This reminds me of when somebody was like, can I be part of the Lieutenant Looks It Up, Captain? Remember?
Yes,
And I was like,
They went on like a deep dive on someone's like personal Facebook page. Yeah, it was great.
like instant investigator or something.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I love it. Okay. So he says, I got a call from a friend of a friend who I had met once before asking if I wanted to go out the next day. Or the next night, rather. I said, sure. I went over to her place about 40 minutes away. I realized upon arrival that I didn't actually know her name.
Oh.
You drove 40 minutes. So I want to know what this conversation was like.
How
so
did you not know?
He picked up the phone.
Oh, they called.
Oh, he picked up the phone.
First problem. First red flag.
It was like somebody who he'd met through a mutual friend, right?
And they weren't like, hey, this is blah, blah, blah.
Or if they did, I guess he forgot it. Maybe wasn't paying attention and was just like, I'm assuming they explained like, oh, we met here or through this person.
Yeah, I'm friends with Sandra. I met you at the blah, blah, blah. And
right.
Like,
he's like,
okay.
Cool. I remember you. Sure. Let's go on a date. So he drives 40 minutes to meet her, realizes he doesn't actually know her name. We had dinner, talked, made out a bit.
Baby angel.
Talked about going out again, made out some more, and called it a night around 1 a.m.
Oh.
I tried several ways to get her to reveal her name to no avail.
Oh, no. Hey, girl.
Because you can't ask once you're on the date.
No,
like,
you made out.
Nowadays you can be like, all right, I want you to put your number in my cell phone, like put your contact, you know what I mean?
Or add your Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's what I would do probably.
Yeah.
I dropped her off at her place, drove home, and went to bed. I realized the following morning that she had never spoken my name either, not on the phone or in person. I further realized that I didn't have her phone number and called a mutual friend to ask for her number. Mutual friend had no idea who I was talking about. What? I gave him the address of the girl. He said he didn't know anyone from that town and the address wasn't familiar. I never heard from her again.
Oh my God.
What?
That's like one of those fucking ghost stories.
Yeah, you went on a date with a ghost.
We drove all the way.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You're having that scene from the Joker where you're doing all these things that you think you're with someone else and it's actually just you by yourself.
No one there.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That is so funny to me.
I'm assuming that this story had to have happened like when people had landlines, right? Like, so it's not like the number is like saved in your cell phone or something, right? Like,
you're like, Josie, she died 10 years ago.
Well, that hasn't been a Josie here in 20 years. Yeah, her soul comes back to Earth one day a year
to go out on a date with a stranger.
What if that's what your soul was doomed to do?
Oh my God,
Come
that's
back
miserable.
and have to go on a date with a rando.
Just a random stranger. Make out.
That is
Make out a little bit.
That
Wow.
is such
Wow.
a good
It's a
story.
mystery.
I am. Wow.
Okay, this one got emailed into us. The subject is young, naive, and not about that sport.
Oh.
So just going to start this email off by saying I'm about to go on a first date. Not stated that way, but insinuated. I'm freaking nervous. I've only been on one date before. Aww. A double date with a guy who the story will focus on. But man, I'm flustered and scared.
Oh, honey.
Well, good luck. Okay, so back to the story referred to in the subject line. Background: I was young, naive, and never had any guy attention or been interested before. It was my very first year of university. There was a guy in some of my classes who kept catching my eye. We'll call him Tom. But I never had any guts to go and say hi. I can't remember when exactly, but sometime before or just after Christmas break, my friend began dating a guy from Tom's group. There's an in. There we go. So I started seeing him around a bit more, and we'd all pregame together before heading out. From the beginning, it was clear that the group, especially Tom, were into drinking a lot and drugs, which was something I maybe thought of as cool, chasing the bad boy vibe.
Yeah.
Oh,
20s.
That is 20 years old, if ever.
I know.
I was 20 years old.
Yeah. That's who we all liked at 20 years old. We all liked Tom.
Yep.
We all wanted to save him, fix you. A few weeks roll by, and my friends are out with me celebrating my 19th birthday. What a mess is all I can say.
Oh, and how?
We ended up meeting up with Tom and company. I was up doing karaoke at the bar, which I had never done before and haven't since, before moving to the club. And smoking many, many cigarettes. Oh my gosh, 19-year-old
God, I feel sick.
I feel. She says, despite not even being a smoker, just under the influence of being around Tom and friends,
turn completely green and throw up.
Yeah, feel that tomorrow.
Yeah. Anyway, somehow I became separated from my friends in the club and ended up outside with Tom by the bins. How all classic romances start, right? Heavily drunk and by the trash.
I remember that Lifetime movie. So good.
That's the title of the movie, actually. Heavily drunk and by the trash.
I swear to God, I'm like, I feel like I can vividly remember making out with somebody by trash in like 1920, something like that. I feel like
especially extra points if you were in an alley.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of smells like that little veneer of piss.
Vaguely moldy.
Yeah.
Moldy piss.
Oh my God. Despite my pretty much blackout state, I did remember what we talked about. Man, it got deep and serious.
Of course, you're 19. Everything gets like deep and serious. It's like existential conversations.
Oh yeah. We talked about mental health and discussed his and the struggles he had. And looking back, I should have taken this as a warning. I know mental health is a serious thing and we shouldn't judge or discriminate against people. But at the time, I was probably not in the best mindset myself. Sure. I was naive, possibly thinking I could fix this guy.
Exactly.
She says it's not because I'm a Pisces.
Yes, it is.
Keegan, yeah. Keegan says yes.
Accurate.
Also, I hate to say this, but I guess I was easy to pin down because this was all new to me and I was enjoying the attention. Anyway,
is she me?
I know.
Because this is basically like
this
was me when I was 19.
This is UKU because there's like OUs and stuff.
Yes.
So yeah,
and bins.
Yes. Anyway, the end of the night, I walk home alone, barefooted, thankfully living in a pretty safe uni town. This was the last night out before a 3-week Easter break. So me and Tom both headed home, but we were speaking pretty much every day. I know, like many others, it's easy to be more confident from behind a screen. And I was finding it easy to let my true self shine through. And without
freak flag.
I know, exactly. Well, came the day I returned to uni and at midnight received a message saying, come round. So, of course, I toddle over to his flat.
Toddle over. So cute.
I know. Where I spent the next 2 to 3 hours just kind of perched on his bed whilst we talked. Most of which I've forgotten, bar the diary he opens up and starts showing me his negative thoughts, coping strategies, etc.
Honey, you need to pay a professional. It's not me.
Yeah.
I ain't the one.
How many of us, though, have been like therapists for our boys?
Yeah.
When you're young.
If you have been a victim of being a therapist.
Yes,
oh my God.
Yes. Especially at 19, there was something weirdly appealing about you're like, he's sensitive.
He's opening up about his struggles.
Wow.
It's like, honey, like pay somebody. I'm not a professional. I'm not going to be able to. A 19-year-old girl is not going to be able to help you.
No.
You need to pay a professional.
Yes.
Absolutely. Don't put that on a 19-year-old girl. It's a lot. So the next few weeks are all kind of jumbled, but it's all more of the same. They were exclusively dating, but not in a relationship. Go out on nights out, have a fun time. He would drink. Alcohol was pretty much always involved on his behalf. Now looking back, I was definitely feeling trapped and a little manipulated. He'd often come to mine at night and say things along the lines, I don't know what I'd do if you were to leave, and I'm scared.
Oh my God. I've been in a relationship like that. It is no fun.
Yeah. Okay, now on to the night of the incident. I was all cozy in my room in my PJs when I hear my name being called outside. I knew it was Tom, so messaged my flatmate saying, do not look outside. Don't respond. I didn't do anything, but somehow he got inside the building and stood outside our flat banging on the door. So, of course, my 6 other flatmates all come out of their rooms and everyone is now involved. I didn't want to go answer it or speak to him knowing he was likely drunk, and I was almost scared of him by this point.
God.
So my flatmates went to try to speak to him, and after about 30 minutes, I caved and he came into my room.
No.
I wasn't in the mood for talking, but we just headed to bed.
I mean, like, what do you do in that situation? Because it's just like you can't just leave him out there. Everyone else in the house is disturbed at this point.
Right.
Short of calling someone else to come take care of
or
it.
the cops, and you just don't, like, at 19, I'm like...
I wouldn't have...
9.
Yeah, I wouldn't have... 9.
There you go, 9 fucking
999. At 19, I definitely wouldn't have called the cops.
I wouldn't have either. You don't want to get that involved. And if you're...
And your roommates are home.
So, exactly.
You feel safe.
Explained away.
So she didn't feel like staying up and talking, so they headed to bed. I was even more uncomfortable with Tom now. Luckily, he helped me out by doing something that gave me a clear reason for me to tell him to leave. There I was asleep when he starts to get up and kneel on the bed facing away from me. Down come his pants, and then I feel it. He's only fucking pissing all over my bed and my feet.
Oh my God.
On her feet. I literally, my toes are curled now because, oh my God.
I hate it.
Oh. But he did. He gave her up by jump and shout, what the heck are you doing? You need to leave right now.
Your feet are wet.
Yeah, exactly. I finally stood my ground and stood up for myself without caving in. Sometimes,
good job, girl.
Sometimes,
it takes that push.
It takes
getting your feet pissed on.
Yeah. We don't always want it to come to that, but sometimes that's the strength that you need to walk away with your pee-fee.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh. And she has a PS. PS, the date, the one she's talking about in the beginning. Oh. Well, it went great. Yes, I had much more than my original plan of 1 drink, but we ended up being at the bar for like 5 hours.
Oh.
There was a little kissing in there towards the end, and I think we're going to meet up again. Well, girl, I'm going to need an update on that.
Yes.
Dude, thank you for sharing. It really is like a blast from the past. Like we've been 19. We've talked about being in that kind of relationship.
Oh, totally.
And I mean, I never had my feet peed on.
I hope Tom got the help he needs.
I know. Tom, shout out.
Because
you talk to a professional.
Yeah.
Never use a 19-year-old for it.
All right. So this story, I almost want Christina to read it because I don't know if you could get through it without laughing. I don't know why it's so funny to me, but we got this through our Instagram page.
Oh,
nice.
A DM. I love a good DM.
Somebody dropped one in our DMs. Yes. This says, hello, ladies. Love the show and just joined on Patreon.
Oh,
and figured it was finally time to submit my worst date.
Yay.
Can't wait.
Okay, ladies. So here's my weirdest/worst dates with the same person. I know. This happened around 2016 when I was temporarily working on the West Side and staying with my cousin in Santa Monica. So
hey, local.
I know, right? I'm like, let's hang. So I matched with this guy, let's call him Jim, on Bumble, who seemed cute enough. We met up for drinks and weed came up in the course of conversation. I do enjoy getting high from time to time, but my cousin doesn't smoke, so it had been a minute since my last sesh. He offered to roll us the joint and go down to the beach to smoke it. I mean, like, so far, sounds like a great day.
It's a California story.
I know. I love it.
Sounds fun. We arrived shortly before sunset, which is my ideal smoking time, and smoked and talked. And after the sun went down, he brought out this sort of box drum from his car and sat down to start playing it.
All right. We've done ukuleles. We've done acoustic guitars. How do we feel about box drums?
On drum
Where
circles?
are we landing on drum circles?
All right. Hey, you do you. You know what I mean? Everybody's got the thing in their heart that makes their heart sing. I will say there are two things in my life that I do not enjoy. I don't enjoy people whistling. I don't know why. It's really annoying to me. And I very much do not enjoy drum circles. I really don't. That's just me.
Well, she said, she's like, which I thought is kind of weird, but his weed was of high quality. So I was really so
Well, and this also
entertained.
isn't a drum circle. It's one man with a drum.
Yeah. It's man with drum. There's no circles. The only circle involved is
and
the drum.
I have to say, you have to be very good at it for me to be impressed. Otherwise, I'm just like, what are you? I'm just picturing it being like a Matthew McConaughey situation where he was like naked with bongos, and I'm like, I bet you're not good at bongos. Like, I bet you're not good at it.
I bet you don't look like Matthew McConaughey.
Also true. Yeah, that's why Matthew McConaughey was naked, because he's like, no one will care that I suck at the bongos.
Do I care if he sucks at the bongos?
No.
Absolutely
No.
not.
Yeah, no.
Well, we had some fun playing the drum on the sand and singing random songs. Okay, now it gets weird.
I could get into it if I was stoned, I think, actually. I think I could get into it if I was stoned. I'd be like, this is fine.
I mean, you're on the sunset.
She did say it's high quality.
Okay, all right.
She said high quality sun.
It's pretty. You're on the beach.
Yeah.
Like,
So
just go
far
with
I'm
it.
sane. So
Go
far I'm
with it.
sane.
Yeah.
But okay, now it gets weird. When we got back to his car, I let him drive me from the bar to the beach in Santa Monica. He said he had someone he wanted me to meet.
No.
He had his storage trunk in the back of his
No.
car, and I saw him turn to unlatch it.
No.
I was suddenly aware of the fact it was very dark and very isolated.
He's
going to
put you in his trunk.
He grabbed something large out of the trunk and turned to me with a female puppet attached to his hand. Oh, no.
Really don't like that.
Like a full-on professionally made Jim Henson looking girl puppet.
No.
Oh, God. Not only did he start...
And I was on a puppeteer team. And I still am like absolutely fucking not. No.
Not only did he start talking to me as the puppet...
Absolutely.
But he was making her say how jealous she was that he was out with another girl. I was so high that I sincerely questioned if this was my reality. Unfortunately, it was.
$20. He's done sex stuff with that puppet.
1,000,000 times.
Oh.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh,
$20.
Put a black light on that bitch.
Oh.
She glows.
It's like Polly Pockets.
Just in the mouth
what?
area, though. Like, just in one place. Only when she opens her mouth.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Okay. All right. I'm literally crying right now.
That's
There are few things that would fill me with fear more than at nighttime with a stranger standing outside his open trunk with a puppet.
So the puppet telling me how jealous.
No.
He's going to put you in that trunk.
Oh, my God.
He's going to turn you into a human puppet.
Dude, if you're stoned, like, how fucking terrified are you right
This
now?
is why when people are like, I want to get high and go see cats, I'm like, why? I don't want to be stoned if I'm seeing weird shit.
Yeah,
like, at all.
It's wild enough. Thank you.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. So I just giggled nervously, and I think I introduced myself to it. He kept it up for a while before showing me his other puppets and introducing me to them.
Oh, no.
After the introductions, I started muttering about having an early morning and got the fuck out of there ASAP. I minimalist texted Jim for a couple of days afterward, and the conversation slowly died out. Fast forward a few weeks, I got a text from Jim asking if I'd like to go to his friend's band play in a bar in downtown LA. I had been in a bit of a slump, so I figured, why not?
No,
At least there'll be plenty of people around this time, and also more good weed.
Well,
I decided to Uber myself to the bar and met up with him and his friends. The band hadn't started yet, so I just was chatting with his friends when I started to notice that he kept trying to redirect my attention and conversation back to him, like interrupting my conversations with random questions and trying to do a magic trick. He is my nightmare. This man is my God.
Now he's a magician.
I started to get annoyed real quick. But at that time, the band's starting. So I figured at least we could just listen to the music and he would shut up and stop bothering me. Well,
oh my God.
I was only half right. He did stop talking, but instead he started jumping around doing these ridiculous dance moves right in between me and the stage. So instead of watching the band, I had to watch him. I kind of shifted over to get out from behind him, and he danced his way back over and tried to grab my waist to dance with him. No, I decided to just leave. I mouthed to him bathroom and called my Uber from there.
Drums, puppets, magic tricks, Elaine style dancing. Absolutely no.
He is literally like a litany of terrible hobbies.
Oh my God, I hate it. Oh, I hate it so much.
Oh my God.
I'm just not feeling the romantic connection. She's like, so I sent him a text and say, I'm sorry. I'm just not feeling the connection. So I decided to leave. He tried to text me for a few days after saying, could we just be friends? And at first I was kind of,
I've never wanted to be friends with somebody less than this person.
Never.
No.
Will be puppets involved.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No.
Drum circles.
Mm-mm. Look, it's LA. You can find good weed somewhere else.
Anywhere. Literally anywhere you can find good weed.
Yeah, literally. Like there's stores for that now.
Right?
Yeah.
And at first I was kind, but eventually I started not replying, and thankfully he got the hint before I had to block him. Fast forward 3 years.
No!
To this past summer. I had just gotten out of a fairly serious relationship and was ready to jump back into the dating pool, or more correctly, the Bumble Hive. Not long after I created my profile, I get a text from Jim. Reading his name pulls forth all the weird memories from our dates, and I had no idea what to think. I opened the message, and it's a screenshot of my new profile with a few gasping emojis underneath. He says he's happy to see me back again and asked if I wanted to go see his puppet show he's putting on because he's gotten really good since the last time I saw him. I've never blocked anyone so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally, like quick draw. That's like some Wild West shit. You're like,
nope. P.S. Thanks, ladies, for creating a funny and open space to discuss the quirks and horrors of today's dating world. I've shared your podcast with friends, family, and even my students. I train graduate students, so it's okay.
It's like, I teach third grade. Get them young.
My last relationship ended in May, and I appreciate all the reminders that I'm not alone in this weird single world. If you use my story, you can call me Jules. Thanks.
Jules, that was
amazing.
You
guys, I'm shooketh.
Magic, bad dancing.
You know, again, I think that the pickup artist had screwed up an entire generation of men, and I think that he is a victim of that because they advocated for magic tricks on that show, and I'm like, stop it right now.
You don't need to perform.
I hate magic
on dates. Like, I'm not an audience. I'm somebody you're trying to get to know. Like, just talk to me and try to get to know me. I will talk to you and try to get to know you. Right. But like the idea that like you need to throw out like skills, I'm like, don't. Guys, it's so weird.
$1 million idea. A dating show, but you have to do magic tricks for each other.
Oh no. Okay.
We'll call it Flirty Magic. No. Someone will give us money for that. I'm sure.
I know.
Okay, guys, are you ready?
Okay.
Yes.
I've wanted to do this one for a little while, but I wanted to cool it on doing historical Crazy and Loves for a second. But when I was trying to figure out what to do this week, I was looking at a lot of it was like Googling New Year's murders to see if I could find something. And I didn't really find anything that really jumped out at me. And so this one just kept coming back and back to me over and over. So
is this... I think I know this one. I don't know why, but I have a feeling. I know you haven't thought of anything yet, and I'm just like,
I have given you no clues other than that it is a historical one. Yes. I am going to be talking about the OG crazy ex-girlfriend, Carolyn Lamb.
Ooh.
Okay. So Carolyn was born in 1785, and she had a pretty shitty childhood, despite the fact that she was born super rich as fuck because her...
Can I ask a question, though? Did anyone in 1785 have a good childhood?
Right.
I mean, probably not, but if you were going to have a good childhood, it would stand to reason that not being poor would help.
Yeah.
And she wasn't poor. She was like super, super rich. Her parents were an earl and a countess. So she was like,
you're doing all right.
She was doing all right, like financially, but her parents had a notoriously wildly unhappy marriage. The two of them were both gamblers. So they gambled all the time, and her father was pretty abusive to her mother, like would humiliate her in public and all kinds of things, and they both had tons of affairs, like just shit tons of affairs. So like neither one of them paid any attention to Caroline. So she started having massive behavioral problems pretty young. She would have screaming fits, tantrums, and it got so bad that eventually her mother sent her away to go live with her Aunt Georgiana, the Duchess of Devonshire, who... Fun fact that the movie The Duchess with Keira Knightley, that's who that's about. So that's her aunt.
Oh.
Okay, so she went and lived with her for a second. And given that house was also like out of control, that's a Crazy in Love as well, that story.
Yeah.
Because they had a really strange marriage as well. That house was also out of control. So no one was paying attention to Caroline again. Just no one knew how to be parents in this decade or this century.
Yeah. Didn't they like like I think that was like kind of par for the course though. If you were rich, like you popped out the kids, but then but not the help like raised them.
Yeah, which isn't great for children, it turns out. Weird. So she just got she grew like more and more out of control to the point where her aunt was like, no, thank you, please, and sent her back. She's like, I don't really want her here. So I did right. I was like, she was so out of control, but who really knows what that means? And these adults were so bad at parenting that they just started medicating Caroline at a young age with laudanum. They were like, oh, let's just shut her up with this highly addictive opioid. And then they tried isolating her from her family. Turns out that doesn't work either as a way of making someone behave better.
Weird.
And when none of that worked, they finally like shipped her off to boarding school. But eventually her behavior problems got so bad that a doctor stepped in and told the family that Caroline's disposition was too delicate for a stressful school environment. So they stopped educating her altogether in her early teens. They just are like, you don't.
Sounds like a recipe for a really
stable person who's going to just adjust really well to adulthood.
Is this the Madame Curie story?
No. No.
She doesn't save people. Got it.
No. So at this point, she's only semi-literate, and she has no oversight. Nobody is parenting her, and so she has no boundaries either. And so she kind of tried to figure out anything that she could cling to that would give her any kind of structure. And so what she started to cling to was religion. So she became highly religious, like super, super zealot. But one upside to her like religious fanaticism is that she taught herself how to read both Greek and Latin. She kind of took over her own education and was, pretty good at it. She became like a really good writer, and she read a lot. She was really pretty, actually. Like
what's that oil painting look like?
Yeah, I actually saved it. I saved it so that I could show it to you guys.
Oh shit!
Yes.
Yeah. Very pretty.
Oh wow.
So she's very pretty, and she was pretty charming, I would say. And as we go through this story, not that I want to armchair diagnose her, but I've read a few things that have kind of hinted towards this, but I think she probably was manic depressive or like bipolar or something, because she was very charming and then she would have very extreme like depressive episodes. So that's kind of what it seems like to me.
Interesting.
So her behavior had kind of chilled out at this point. She was going through a real like chill phase around the age of 20 when she married William Lamb, who seemed to be like a pretty cool dude, and actually not a bad looking dude either. Like, so he was really, really kind to her. He was very different from her father, like very, very nice and pleasant to be around. But she is so freaked out and so religious that she is completely freaked out by the idea of sex. And she felt so much like guilt after they had sex their wedding night. That she felt like it was a sin against God, and she was very like uncomfortable with it. But nevertheless, like 7 months after they get married, she ends up giving birth to a daughter who was born stillborn, which of course also reinforced this idea that like this is a punishment and, you know, all of that stuff. So
do you think she felt that bad because it was premarital?
It wasn't.
It wasn't?
It wasn't premarital.
It's just 7 months. It was born early. Okay. I was
early.
Okay.
Yeah, the baby was born early. So then later on, she has another child who I think his name was Augustus. Yeah. And he was born with developmental difficulties. And she didn't do what a lot of people do at the time, which would have been very common, especially for very aristocratic families, which would be to send him away. She didn't do that. She wanted to keep him and educate him. But it was really hard, and it kind of kicked off a real depressive episode for her, and she became like super, super depressed. And even though William was a very like kind and patient husband, it caused a lot of issues with their marriage. And to the point where she became so unhappy that she started threatening that she was going to have an affair. And he was like, LOL.
Okay. He's like, sure.
He's like, you don't even want to have sex with me. Like, you're not going to have an affair with anybody.
Right.
This then kicked off what can only be described as a manic episode. She became incredibly social, like very social, really wanted to get into the mix of things. Enter Lord Byron.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Possibly the worst person somebody like Carolyn Lamb could be with.
Right. Yeah.
So, unlike Carolyn, George Byron was not highborn. In fact, he spent his early childhood living above a shop in Scotland with his mom because her shitty husband, Lord Byron's dad, had incurred so many debts that they couldn't afford anything else, and he had basically abandoned the family to run away from debtors. So still, when his uncle, the Baron Byron, died, he had no heirs, and so George inherited his title when he was 8 years old, and he was determined to be a social climber. He's like, I'm going to get to the top of that aristocracy, and I don't really care how it happens.
Right.
So he studied at Cambridge, and then he published this semi-autobiographical poem called Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, and it launched him into like Beatles-esque levels of superstardom. Like overnight. He actually wrote in his own words, he said, I awoke one morning and found myself famous. People went insane. Like all I can think of is like, seriously, when you watch those old clips of the Beatles where girls are like screaming and passing out, that's how they were about Lord Byron. Basically, it was like 19th century version of that.
Amazing.
So Lord Byron was the ultimate sensitive, sad boy, bad boy.
The original emo.
You read his stuff and you were like, he just hits me. I get
heart.
him.
You know, that's literally.
Oh yeah. And he's a terrible fuckboy.
Yeah, he's
awful person.
Oh, I would have been all about.
But the writings, they make you feel like, you know, this is somebody. He's writing about not finding satisfaction in, you know, the aristocratic world of money and sex and hedonism. It's just not satisfying for him. So Caroline received a copy of Childe Harold when she was 26, and she devoured it. She was immediately smitten with Lord Byron, which, like, bitch, get in line. Everybody is. She begged their mutual friend, Samuel Rogers, to introduce them. But at this point, Rogers had been flooded with requests from women who wanted to meet Byron. And Byron had already developed a reputation for being a womanizer. So Rogers was trying to dissuade her. And he told her that Byron had a club foot, which was true, and that he wasn't nearly as attractive as she was making him out to be. But Carolyn didn't care. She said, if he's ugly as Aesop, I must see him. So she wrote Byron a letter, and she addressed it to Childe Harold, and she left it anonymous. Byron, at this point, had received so many letters from female admirers that when women requested locks of his hair, he had started sending clippings from his dog instead.
Wow. This poor dog is like bald.
He's got bald patches all over the place. But Carolyn did something that was unique to get Byron's attention because she was actually very smart. And 2 days after sending the first letter that was anonymous, she sent a second letter. And in it, she wrote to Byron in a way that imitated his own writing. She wrote 14 lines in the same meter as Childe Harold. And of course, Byron noticed that. And that was attractive to him because he's a narcissistic asshole. So he read that and he was like, oh, okay. It was flattering to him. She did sign this letter, and because she was married and she didn't want any responses from Byron coming to her home, she requested that Byron leave his response at the library under a false name, but he never responded. So she went to the library, she waited, she went and looked for it. He didn't respond. So
she left her on red.
Now we're at peak intrigue. Carolyn is not used to not getting what she wants.
Yeah.
She's,
we saw her.
Yeah. She's gorgeous and rich. And she's always gotten what she wanted. So I keep calling her Carolyn, but I think it's Caroline. And so you can already kind of see what they're doing. There's this power dynamic at play where each one of them is trying to get the upper hand in this relationship. So a few days after this, Caroline and Byron would meet in person at a ball. They spot each other from across the room. And Byron, he was pretty proud of himself for not responding to her letter and making her wait for it. And he was like, okay, I've made her wait for me. I'm going to make an introduction now. And also keep in mind, Byron at this point is not used to being slighted at all by anyone because everyone wants his attention. He's incredibly charming, charming. He's not even like the most handsome guy in the room. He's just very charismatic. Yeah. And so he's like, all right. I made her wait for it long enough. She's hot. I'm going to go say hi.
And so he walks over with his club foot.
He drags his foot over there. And by that time, Caroline Lamb was gone. Oh. She left the party early because she was like, if he isn't going to reply to me, then I'm going to make him chase me.
Yeah.
So the both of them are kind of doing this thing where they're like, they thrive. You can see the kind of people that they are, that they like thrive on this like drama already. Like you see it.
Which I love how nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed.
Just literally
Games.
like we can be talking about texting right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, like
So
someone
true.
just like left a heart on a message and just like
this whole story is that, dude. It's so much like this could be a modern day story 100%, you know? So
there we go. There's our fucking, hey, rich people, give us money.
Yeah, to make a modern day Caroline and Byron story.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes, because it gets wild, guys. So the fact that she denied him just made her more appealing to him, of course, and she knew that it would, and that's precisely why she did it. So she acted all cool, calm, and collected, but when she got home, she wrote in her diary, and she actually wrote the words that people used to describe Byron. I think there's actually a biography about Byron from this, and this is what she wrote in her diary. She said that he was mad, bad, and dangerous to know. And she also wrote, that beautiful pale face will be my fate.
So wow, I love that.
Apparently he was a lot of people's fate.
Mad, bad, and dangerous to know.
That's what I want to be. I want someone to describe me as that. Mad, bad, and dangerous to know.
But you can, like, from that description, like, of course he had, like, of course women wanted to be with him. Like, that's the James Dean vibe, you know, that, like, mad, bad, dangerous boy, you know? So sometime later, completely unannounced, Byron shows up at Carolyn's house with their friend, Samuel Rogers, and she had not been expecting guests, which is a big no-no for the early 19th century.
No, now.
In general, yeah. But
don't show up at my house.
Yeah, don't just show up. So she had just been out writing. It's not like she was like expecting to meet anyone. So she shows up all fucking sweaty, and she's like, hi. And then he gives her a gift of one single rose. Ugh. And from that moment on, it was over for Caroline. She was madly in love with Byron, and the two began a whirlwind affair.
Nice.
He began to visit her frequently, and they had all kinds of highly X-rated rendezvous behind closed doors. He brought her books and gifts. He started calling her Caro, and so she demanded that everyone else around her call her that as well. They wrote to each other multiple times a day, like letters. Like, you're writing letters, like multiple letters a day.
I had that relationship in my early 20s where it was multiple emails a day. And you don't have to go to the post office, but it's the same thing, like multiple long emails back and forth.
Annoyed her messenger must have been. He's like, I gotta take my horse needs water. Can I have a break? I gotta go back and forth from your house to Byron's house all day.
This literally could be adapted into a modern
I have my own life.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And he told her all of his secrets. So there was something between them in that, like, he'd had lots of lovers, lots of affairs, but she clearly kind of spoke something to him that allowed him to actually like open up and share things with her that he hadn't really shared to other people. He told her about his first love, who was his cousin, and how heartbroken he was whenever he overheard his cousin talking about how she would never love him because he was lame because of his deformity. And about his insecurities, about his disability. Mm-hmm. And he even told her about the affairs that he had had with men when he was in school. And he told her all this, even though homosexuality at the time in England was a capital offense. Like, if he was caught, he could have been hanged for it. Caroline's interest in Byron could only be called an obsession. Once when Caroline saw Byron talking to another woman at a party, she broke the glass she was holding in her hand.
Jesus. She's like, I'm gonna fucking
I will cut you, bitch. She once sent Byron a lock of her pubic hair that was cut so close to the skin that it was actually clotted with dried blood. He sent her a gold locket inscribed with his family motto, Crede Byron, have faith in Biden. Whoa!
Oh,
no. I take it back. Byron. Wow. Have faith in Byron. No. But these two, I mean, they were ultimate drama queens. Like, as you can imagine, what their life was like. They loved each other hard, but they fought harder, and they played games. Like, they played games with each other. For instance, once Caroline invited Byron to a waltzing dance, knowing full well that because of his club foot, he couldn't dance. So
that's fucked up.
That's so mean.
It's mean, and because basically he accepted, he showed up, but she knew that if he came, he wasn't going to be dancing, and he was going to watch her dance with other men all night long, and it infuriated him. After that night, he forbade Caroline from waltzing, and she agreed. She agreed. So, super healthy relationship.
I really want Greta Gerwig to direct this.
Oh my God. Hell yeah.
Yes.
Their friends saw all the red flags from the beginning, and they tried as best they could to keep them apart, but neither one of them heeded the warning signs. So his friends were also like, bro, oh, she's coming on real intense.
Crazy eyes.
She's got crazy eyes.
Break that glass, bro.
And let's not forget that Byron got a lot of attention from other women. Like, for instance, Caroline's cousin, Annabella Milbank, who Byron had spent all night at the waltzing party talking to. She dubbed it Byromania. That's what she called it. Wow. That there was Byromania in London at this time. That's how popular he was. So, she was like furious about this. She was furious that he was getting so much attention from other people. She did not like it. She was incredibly jealous, but she was also married. And while affairs in the aristocracy were like normal and okay to a certain extent, you were still expected to have a certain amount of discretion. And she wasn't good at it at all. She was not good at being discreet. At one point, Annabella Milbank, her cousin, asked Caroline to pass along a few poems she had written to Byron. So Byron knew at some point for Caroline, she was born into this kind of like noble upper class. So for her, none of this really mattered. But for Byron, he wanted to continue to climb the social ladder. He was kind of an imposter in this social circle. And he knew that if he wanted to solidify or cement his position, he was eventually, first of all, he couldn't arouse too much scandal. He can arouse like just the right amount, but not too much. And eventually he's going to need to get married to somebody. And so after Caroline passed along some of Annabella's poetry, just kind of flippantly passed it along. After she passed that along to Byron, Byron asked if he asked Caroline, do you think Annabella would make a suitable wife for me?
Yeah.
Your cousin.
Your cousin. Hey, your cousin. She free, right?
So inside, Caroline, I'm sure, is like freaking internal screaming, right. But on the outside she plays it super like cool and chill, and she's just like, I think you'd be really bored by her. I don't think she wouldn't excite you. She's not exciting enough. And he's like, yeah, you're probably right. It's fine.
I'm literally, my tenseness, my shoulders were up to my ears. I was like, I just imagine her like it's just probably not even your speed.
It's fine. So as the months went on, she could sense that Byron was getting bored. You know, they couldn't go on forever. Right. He knew it couldn't go on forever. Like, she's married. It can't go on forever. It was fun while it lasted. She's exciting. She's crazy. And those things are fun for a while, but at some point, they're not fun anymore.
Sometimes I'll tell you, if a flame burns that hot, that quickly, it burns the fuck out.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how that rolls.
But she could sense this, that he was starting to get bored, and it made her desperate and clingy. And so she started expressing her love very publicly, to the point where Byron's friends were like, dude.
Well, yeah, dude.
She's nuts. Stay away.
Modern tale. I swear to God.
Right. It literally, it's so ripe for adaptation.
Yeah. Still, even though, so Byron is this kind of dude, right? He doesn't really want Caroline, but it makes him crazy that Caroline won't explicitly say that she loves him more than her husband. She doesn't like, he craves that kind of like devotion, even though he doesn't really want to be with her.
Right.
So he kind of floats the idea of having an elopement with Caroline. And Caroline responds super eagerly, because of course she was trying to play it cool, but the second he's like, want to get married, she's like, yes. Like, actually, yes, right away. And so then he ghosts her hard. Ooh. After that, after he got what he wanted out of her, which was her devotion, he leaves London. No goodbye, just gets the fuck out of London.
Wow.
Yep. Caroline Lamb.
Ultimate ghosting.
Yes, ultimate ghosting. She's heartbroken. She's confused. She sends letter after letter after letter to Byron, all of which went without a reply.
Oh my God, dude.
Ghosting.
In 1785. Yeah, it flames your fucking face.
So she started to lose it. She became completely frantic, completely erratic. When at one point she heard that he did return to London, she shows up at his house in the middle of the day dressed as a page boy to get into his house. And when Byron told her to leave, she took a letter opener from Byron's desk and tried to stab herself with it. So she's screaming, she's crying. It forced him, of course, to come over and like, it's like that scene from Fatal Attraction, right? Where like it forced him to come over and hold her to get her to like drop the knife, basically.
But I mean, here's the thing. Of course that's extreme, but like literally like this affair went on for long enough, and he proposed marriage to her. Like, so I'm just
he fucked with her feelings hard.
He's culpable.
And like proposed marriage. So I'm just like imagining, I'm like, okay, I'm totally in love with somebody. We have this whirlwind affair that lasts for like a long time. It's like my first time that she's actually been in love. You know what I mean? Like had a sexual relationship with somebody, a deep relationship where they've shared feelings. And then fucking ghosts. Like I literally like my brain would fucking explode.
And this is someone who, the reason why I gave all the backstory about her childhood is because this is somebody who was not quite emotionally or behaviorally stable from the word go.
Right.
So like already, I mean, she was not she was not in a position to handle this at all, like at all.
Yeah.
And at this point, everyone around the couple could see that this was going to be a major fucking problem. Mm-hmm. So his friends reiterated that Byron needed to stay away, and Caroline's husband, God bless him, William Lamb, what a lamb. He comforted her and he helped her pick up the pieces. He was there for her as like a shoulder to cry on and like helped her get by. And and his parents, her in-laws, thought that it was best that Caroline take a break from London society and go off to Ireland to recover. They're like, maybe get out of here,
just resty poo,
just for a little bit, just for a little bit.
Yeah,
maybe go talk to your hairdresser for a while.
So she went out to the country and God, seriously, Byron is a fucking asshole. So she goes out to the country and Byron was like, you know what? I'm going to throw her a bone and write her a letter.
Okay.
So he thrived. He thrived on her flattery. Like he didn't want her, but he wanted her to be in love with him. Yeah. Like, you know, he needed that like attention. So,
oh my God, I want to out somebody so bad right now because I fucking know the modern day version of this motherfucker. Mm-hmm.
So in his goodbye letter, he wrote, I was and am yours freely and most entirely to obey your honor, love, and fly with you when, where, and how you yourself might and may determine. So that's his goodbye letter, which like that is so cruel to do to somebody. It is cruel to do that to someone.
Very cruel.
To continue, like to play with their emotions and keep them hanging on because okay. Caroline wasn't around. He threw her this bone, and then he immediately started another affair with an older aristocratic woman and a friend of Caroline's, the Countess of Oxford.
That's not a friend.
Caroline's mental health began to decline even further, and she wrote Byron every single day. She stopped eating completely. She started swinging through bouts of being hypermanic and hyper depressed, like just back and forth. And she ended up actually kind of like withering away to like she was very, very thin at this point. Aww. So after months of unanswered letters, Byron finally wrote her back saying the following: correct your vanity, which is ridiculous. Wow. Exert your absurd caprices upon others and leave me in peace. He also said, I love another. I am no longer your lover. And additionally, he sealed the letter with his new lover's wax stamp.
Oh, damn. He said, calm down.
Calm down. Bitch, calm down. Why are you so obsessed with me? Is basically what he said to her. Wow. Why are you so obsessed with me?
Whoa.
This pushed the already obsessed Caroline completely over the edge. When she returned to London, she wrote to Lady Oxford and she threatened to tell the world about their affair. Lady Oxford didn't seem worried, but it pissed Byron off. And I think that's probably what she was trying to do.
Right, yeah.
So at this point, Caroline was skin and bones. She was so thin. And she kept showing up at parties and other places where Byron was and just like basically glaring at him from across the room. And Byron joked.
That ain't a good look.
No. It's not a good look. And to make it worse, like this is how much of an asshole Byron is. He joked to his friends that he was being haunted by a skeleton.
Oh, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This guy
he does not care. He doesn't care about like, obviously, like even if this is obviously extreme behavior, but wouldn't you be worried about this person as a person? Like you're like, I'm concerned about you. Like something's really, 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 really wrong, you know?
Yeah.
The best revenge is your paper. Queen bee.
Queen bee.
Yeah. Dude, it's always like, oh man, but it's hard not to give in to those feelings of just wanting to fucking destroy a motherfucker that's fucked with you like that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh guys, and it gets even crazier. Okay, so she wrote to Byron and asked for all her letters and tokens of love to be returned to her. He obliged with what he had left, but some of her things he had already given to other lovers.
Wow.
So he gave back what he had left of hers, like all the letters and all of that stuff. And Caroline went full on fucking crazy, and she started a huge bonfire, recruited a group of girls from the local village, dressed them all in white, and had them dance around the fire while she burned a giant life-size effigy of Byron. in the bonfire.
I mean, whatever you gotta do to get over.
I know. Yeah,
a
I was
motherfucker.
gonna say,
I guess.
But she wasn't.
Fire cleanses.
She wasn't over it.
Oh,
and she threw all the things in the fire while reciting a poem, which I won't read now. But and this is like, honestly, it's not getting over it. This was the beginning of her being like, I will destroy you. Like, she was like, I am going to destroy you.
Well, she's got the letters where he was saying some of those secrets. She definitely could.
She made buttons for her staff to wear. She made buttons. Bitch went out and did arts and crafts. She made buttons that said, "No crede, Byron," which was a play on his family crest that said, "Have no faith in Byron."
Wow.
In Latin. And on one afternoon, she broke into his house, went into his study, and in a book that was written by a famously bisexual author, she wrote "Remember Me" in it. Because she was like, I know your fucking secrets. Like, don't play. Like, she's like, I know your secrets.
Shit.
When she heard that he was going to give a portrait to his new lover, Lady Oxford, she forged a letter from Byron, went to the place where the portrait was made, and gave them the letter saying like, hey, Byron told me to come pick this up. And took the portrait. And it pissed him off, not only about the portrait, but that she was able to like...
Bitch, you can't steal Amazon packages.
When Byron asked for the portrait back, Caroline said she'd be happy to in exchange for a lock of his hair. Ugh. He agreed, but sent along a clipping, not of his hair, but of Lady Oxford's hair. God damn. Ow.
Damn.
It's wild.
I need this movie
it's wild.
I've not seen her.
Their final in-person confrontation happened at a party. Caroline was dancing and mocked Byron by saying, I assume I'm allowed to waltz now. And Byron responded, well, of course. You do it so well and with everybody.
Whoa. Zing.
Damn. No need to bring up body counts.
Jesus.
Caroline broke a glass with her hand and threatened to cut herself with it. And they wrote about it in the papers.
Yay.
So
Byron is fucking up everybody's life.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So throughout all this, actually, even through this, her husband is still like, God bless William Lamb, is still like standing by her and like trying to help her through it. So
an understanding man's like, I understand you've got this big crush on this.
Do you think Lamb's got his own lamb?
He has to. I hope so. God, he needs some happiness. I hope so.
I pray that he has.
So it's around this time Byron is starting to get bored of Lady Oxford now. Like he's like, meh, I'm getting kind of bored of this. So it's around this time when his half sister comes into town, and the two are inseparable. They are so inseparable that they are getting side-eyed hard by all of London society. He spent so much time with his sister that he had no time for Lady Oxford and actually ends up leaving her, or she leaves him. And then Byron and his sister Augusta Lee, they were together all the time, and London society was scandalized when Augusta Lee got pregnant and had a baby that most people assumed to be Lord Byron's baby. Byron at this point realized, okay, I may have pushed it too far, may have pushed it to the limit. I should probably settle down and get a wife before I fall out of favor. So he goes and marries Caroline's cousin, Annabella Milbank.
Damn.
Their marriage was a mistake from the beginning, and she knew it. A lot of people speculate that the reason why he pursued her, even though he did find her boring and not that interesting, was because he had proposed to He proposed marriage to her once, and she turned him down. And his ego could not handle it until she said yes. So he proposed again until she said yes. Oof. So, but they both knew that it was a mistake. Like I think she said something like the best man had congratulated her on her way out, like wishing them a happy marriage. And she was basically like, if it's not, I have no one to blame but myself.
Wow.
And then after the ceremony, when they were in the carriage on their way back, Byron had a full-on panic attack. And when she tried to comfort him, he like hit her hand away. And he said, it's too late now. What's done can't be undone. Exactly what you want to hear from your new husband.
Oh, goody.
And
I'm so glad we're married.
This will make you feel real gross. he spent their wedding night in the master bedroom with his half-sister.
Oh, God.
And his new wife slept on the couch.
Wow.
So Byron sank into alcoholism, paranoia, financial problems because he is an artiste and he wanted to be of the aristocratic class. So he didn't want to take money for his writing. He just wanted to be wealthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, of course, that doesn't lend yourself to having a lot of money.
Right.
So he had a lot of financial problems. And a year after their marriage and a month after their daughter, Ada, was born, Annabella took Ada and went to live with her parents. And neither one of them ever saw Byron again.
Oh, it seems for the best, actually.
Yeah.
This is all for the best.
Caroline helped her cousin during the separation proceedings, and she gave Annabella all the dirt that Annabella needed to settle the divorce on her terms and spread countless rumors throughout London about Byron's incestuous relationship with his sister.
Nice.
But at the same time, she wrote to Byron, comforting him and claiming to be on his side.
Not nice.
He didn't respond.
Oh, what? That's weird.
She was so incensed that he did not respond that in 1816, guys, 1816, they met in 1812. It's only been 4 years.
Wow.
Caroline wrote a novel called Glenarvan, and it was a fictionalized, very thinly veiled fictionalized account of her affair with Byron. So she was basically like, you're going to ignore me. I'm going to out this to everyone, and I don't care if I go down with you.
That's like a tabloid tell-all book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
But because, it was a scandal, and it ruined her reputation. So she completely went down with him, and it was at this point that William Lamb was like, all right.
That's it.
Yeah, he's like,
Okay,
you've
enough's
taken
enough.
things too far. Like, everyone knew about this, but now you've basically made a complete mockery of our marriage and like everything else. And he dipped. He is like, I gotta go. Goodbye. Byron died at 36. Wow. And his friends gathered to read his memoirs. No one knows what they found. So no one got to hear his side of what the situation was with Caroline Lamb, because so his friends all got together. They all read his memoirs, and then they collectively were like, we should burn these, right? Yeah, we should burn them. Yeah. We're going to burn these. Yeah.
That's like the bros coming around and deleting searches.
Yes, exactly. They were like,
nobody needs to know about this.
And they were said to have said, should they be made public, they will damn him to everlasting infamy. So whatever was in there was real bad.
Damn.
Caroline wandered Europe, picking up a string of short-lived lovers along the way, and she published another book under a pseudonym, but it bombed, didn't do well. She was very alone by now. She was completely alienated from everyone. William was gone. She didn't have her children, and nobody really wanted to help her. She'd burned all of these bridges, and there was no mental health system at all at this time. So she's just deteriorating rapidly. She was getting sicker. She was falling deeper into a depression. She was getting thinner. And eventually, William came back to Caroline, not as his wife. He never wanted to be married to her again, but as her friend, to have someone, so she would have somebody. He came and took care of her.
Well, the real hero here is William.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
When she returned to London, Caroline was declared insane, and she was medicated with laudanum, and she never got better, and she died at 42 in 1828.
Wow.
That's really sad.
I'm interested to know when Claire comes into the story, because she's the other one that has this, I think, daughter with him.
Yes.
Mary Shelley's.
That would be after Caroline wrote her book. Lord Byron left London and never came back. He left London because it was such a scandal that he decided to leave, and that's when he went into the castle with Mary Shelley and all of their friends and Claire, and that's where Frankenstein was born.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she's kind of, it's kind of sad because she was actually a great writer and very smart, Caroline Lamb. But she has gone down in history as the ultimate original crazy ex-girlfriend because she stalked the fuck out of him. See,
that's the fucking narrative.
It is the narrative.
Like,
what about him?
What about him? Exactly. Like, what's his culpability for being a complete fucking tool and dick bag. And like stringing someone along like that, you have to have responsibility for someone else's feelings, which is why like one of my favorite things that Dan Savage talks about is the campground rule. You leave it better than you found it. And that's what you need to go into any fucking relationship. Like you want to have that kind of
take that shit out with you.
Take that stewardship of being a fucking human being to another human being. Leave them better than you found them.
Well, I mean,
you know?
I think Byron was he's a narcissist. Like if it didn't satisfy his desires and needs and wants, then it didn't matter.
And this didn't cure him at all. That's the thing. Yes, he may have been scandalized and moved from London, but the way he treated Claire was just as scandalous.
Oh yeah, no. He's a bad person.
And horrible.
He's a bad person. Yeah. And he's kind of like the example of how like fame can really fuck with you. Like no one needs that level of fame where like Byromania,
right?
No one needs that level of like you can do anything to anyone and no one really cares.
I mean, like,
you know what I mean?
Led Zeppelin used to like chain girls up and like fucking hotels on the Sunset Strip and leave them for days. You know, it's just like
wild,
they're terrible people. I mean, like that's the thing is just like fame does weird shit to you, but also I also believe that like it just magnifies who you really are as a human being.
That makes me want to do something rock and roll related for the next.
Oh, there's tons of them.
I've got a couple.
So many.
Yeah.
But yeah. I heard that originally again on Noble Blood. That episode's actually very good.
Nice.
That one's really good. And then I also read an article in FYI History and a Wikipedia. Yeah. So
very well done.
Brilliant.
Well, what are we watching? This week?
These are the days between Christmas and New Year's, so it's just a barren wasteland of there is a Keegan-sized dip in my couch right now. But even with that, I have all this shit that I want to watch. I do want to watch I want to watch The Mandalorian, and instead what I'm doing is watching like all of the Star Wars movies and all of the Harry Potter movies. Like that's what we've been doing. Is like
the best Christmas time thing ever.
I know. Like
very good.
That's what we've been doing. We've just been rewatching. I finally got Anthony to kind of build some momentum on watching the Harry Potter movies with me. So we're working our way through.
Well, yeah, I binged The Watchmen. That was
I want to see that now that you guys talked about it.
I mean, I like for the first few minutes, like grabbed me in immediately. It was really powerful, really moving, and
there's nothing
deeply
like
unsettling
it on TV right now.
And
at
then
all.
The score too by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross is so effective. It's so affecting. The whole story and how it plods through to the ending. It's very powerful. Definitely recommend it. It's a great. Like, as somebody that's not really into like superheroes or anything anymore, I just didn't find it to be a superhero story.
Sure.
No, it's definitely not a superhero story. And I would also say that like it doesn't help to know a little bit of like the lore or background on Watchmen. Yeah, but it's not necessary.
It's not necessary.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
You can watch it without having an understanding of
That's kind of what held me back from it because I just didn't know enough about Watchmen. I'd watched the movie, but I was like, it's been so long ago since that movie came out that I'm like,
that movie's not very good either.
Yeah, it was alright, but it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like
I rewatched
I need to watch
it
that again.
I rewatched it in the middle of watching Watchmen, and the show's much better than the movie.
Yeah.
But I did go see the new Star Wars movie, and of course, I won't give any spoilers. But what I will say, I feel like it needs to be said, is fandoms need to stop ruining shit. Because look, I get it if you're disappointed with like this or that or like whatever. And I understand as someone who fucking hated the last season of Game of Thrones and thought it was terrible.
Same.
I understand feeling like you have a right to a product or whatever. I get that. But I really enjoyed this movie. And after rewatching the first three movies, episodes 4, 5, and 6, just recently, they had their issues too.
Yeah.
They had plenty of issues.
Hold precious something just because it happened in their childhood.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's precious.
Yeah,
it's
nostalgia.
nostalgia.
It's nostalgia. Because it doesn't mean that it was perfect. It certainly wasn't. There were plot holes and weird things that happened in the first ones as well. I really enjoyed this. It's what I wanted it to be. For the most part, there were a few things I was like, didn't need that. But like, for the most part, go and enjoy the ride. Just kick back and fucking enjoy the ride.
But we talked about this the other day. I liked Solo, and I just don't have that fandom background or nostalgia for it. That I have nostalgia toward it, but I don't have like a skin in the game, as it were. Like I feel like there's people who are just like feel like it like an ownership, like you say, toward it. Well, we've talked about I have Disney Plus now, and so the silly things that I have watched. Well, one was on HBO. I watched Shazam. First and foremost, people were kind of like it's a flop, it's terrible, it's whatever. I fucking loved it. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. Completely just I like watched that movie. I left that movie and was like, that was fun. It was fun. Okay. It was good. It's fun. It's light. I really, really enjoyed it. I actually thought it was just exactly what I needed it to be. Light and fun. I didn't know anything about the character, which helps because I think that's where DC has failed so horribly, is that everyone knows their characters so well. They've been so famous. The fandom is so strong behind it that you're like,
can't do anything
how
right.
many more fucking movies can we make about Superman? We get it. Superman, like,
God, there's another Batman movie coming, and I'm like, fucking Christ.
Like, I know, right? And it just feels like, okay, we get it. But this is where DC needs to go. This is what made Daredevil so great. You could turn Daredevil and nobody knew Daredevil really. You know, like you did but didn't. Or not Daredevil. I'm sorry. I meant
Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I was like, I don't think the Daredevil movie was very good. But
with Ben. I was like, wait, what?
Ben Affleck. No, but thank you. Deadpool movies, like that's what you can do with a bunch of characters that aren't so beloved necessarily, or their stories haven't been told so many times that you're like Ant-Man. It can be fun and you can enjoy it because guess what? Nobody gives a fuck about Ant-Man.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean?
We care because Paul Rudd is here. That's the only reason why we give a fuck.
Nobody gives a fuck about Shazam except that he's. It's fun. It was just that. It was fun. It was enjoyable in the way that I enjoyed Ant-Man. It was enjoyable in the way that I enjoyed, Deadpool. Yeah,
awesome.
It was fun.
Awesome.
So, that's that. And I also watched Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh, nice.
That's on my list too. I'm finally caught up on Midwife. So, yeah,
I'm not fully caught up. I still have probably a few episodes till I'm done with this season, current season.
Yeah, so I'll need to find something else to sink my teeth into.
You should watch Killing Eve if you haven't.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's, it's so good. And I think, you'd like it.
I've heard Broadchurch, too.
Oh, Broadchurch is amazing.
I fucking love Broadchurch.
It's so good. You should watch it.
Olivia Colman.
David Tennant. So good.
Yeah. Well, if you have stuff that we should watch, if you've got stories, oh my gosh, stories. What are we going into January? Anybody got any special requests for January? Stories we want?
Not that I can think of. Let me think on that. Let me marinate on it.
I know. Right. Any stories you got, short, long, just as long as they're awful. So go to our one-stop shop of a website at myworstdatepodcast.com. You can join our Patreon, our Facebook group, do all the damn things with us. And happy fucking New Year, guys.
Yay! Happy New Year.
Thank you so much for listening.
Cheers.
This is a Glass Box Media Podcast.